The so-called atmosphere that Shane Deitz is claiming to have created is nothing more than a sham, a disguise to cover his inability and lack of knowledge to improve the West Indies senior women cricket team. The women's team have regressed during his tenure and will continue to go lower and lower if we don't get rid of him. It appears to me that this gentleman is a lazy individual masquerading as a cricket coach. He has not only lost the dressing room, but I can assure you he will never get another high profile cricketing job after the West Indies let him go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the number one cricket channel in the Caribbean. It's my pleasure to have you here this afternoon, Jamaican time. My guest is Basil Butcher Jr., the son of the former legendary West Indies batsman, Basil Butcher. Good afternoon, Basil. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Carl. Good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Basil, for being here. Now, yesterday, Basil, as you would know, and you are somehow of an expert on women cricket in particularly, having coached the USA women team. Now, yesterday, the West Indies played their first match in the World Cup. There's a summary of the activities there. Only one batswoman passed 20. That was Stephanie Taylor, as West Indies were bowled out for 118 by the South African, with Mlaba getting 4 for 29 from her 4 overs, and Cap getting 4 for 20, 4 for 14, 2 for 14 from her 4 overs. West Indies 118 for 6. What went wrong with the batting, Basil?
I think one of the things we must commend the South African bowlers. They bowled to their plans. They really, whatever each of our batters, they attacked them at their weakest and got rid of them. You've got to commend the South African bowlers for the way they bowled. They really worked our batters out. I mean, if you remember, the first 2 overs, I don't even think we had 10 runs because of the tight lines they were bowling, and we should have gone. We should have lost the wicket because Joseph edged one in the first over she faced against Kaka, and Coley Tryon dropped the catch, right? And Cap in her second over to Matthews. I think that was a masterful piece of bowling she did to Matthews, and because she knows Matthews like to play that shot off the back for 2 covers. Any kind of width Matthews see, irrespective of how close to the stump, she has a tendency to want to go for that shot. And Cap bowled into the area where she liked to play the shot, and she got a nick to the wicket keeper.
Basil, and in my introduction, you heard me blasting Shane Deitz. I really think he should go, but I'm not coming to that yet. You said that the South Africans bowled in the area where the West Indies batswomen are weakest. Take, for example, Quiana Joseph, who opened the innings. She was just staying on leg stump and swinging her bat, and the South Africans were just handling the ball across her, just handling across her, and she was missing. Where was the coach then to say, you need to adjust, you need to make some adjustment, you probably will need to go over to the half stump or do something? These are the things that I saw lacking in Shane Diaz. And the other point is, Basil, although the South Africans would have done their homework on the West Indies team, and I have a clip to play later in this show. I've done their work on the West Indies team. Again, shouldn't the West Indies now don't allow them to just go ahead and carry out their objectives? Shouldn't the West Indies done something different to be more positive and change up? Where was the coach, Basil?
Well, it's interesting. did you get a chance to listen to Coach Diaz's assessment of Joseph in that interview he recently did prior to the World Cup? Because you would have heard in that interview, he referred to Joseph as a dangerous player. And I would, all due respect to Coach Diaz, I don't know what he means by that. Because how dangerous, Joseph is just somebody that stands up and swings her bat. There is almost no footwork. And she got away in a warm-up match against Australia, right? Those are warm-up matches, right? As we saw today, when Australia had to bowl to Bangladesh, or after being reduced to a paltry score, they put the screws on with immediate effect, right? Because now the bell has rung, this is the real deal, right? So Joseph is the same player we saw in the regional tournament that stands up and swings and gets away against a lower level. And it was pointed out when she was batting, the difference from, because I remember in the WCPL, she had some good innings too. And it was noted that's a big step up from there to international cricket, right? And she had no answer to counter the players, the ball going across her body. She still kept doing the same thing.
Basil, 50 dot deliveries. How do you, we are, of the 120 deliveries that we faced yesterday, there were 50 dot deliveries. Why, Basil? Why?
Well, again, again, I'm going to give South Africa's bowlers great credit because they bowled, they stuck to their plans and neutralized our batters for the most part.
But again, I said, Basil, we should have done something different then.
Yes.
So where was the coaching?
I understand that. And I understand that. But this is the dilemma we have with our players. Lots of them don't have that skill set that know that they would have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C when confronted at this level, right? Now, we also know that strike rotation is an epidemic throughout our cricket. The women are not are not immune from that, and they're probably the worst in terms of that because of the skill sets of working the ball around and etc. Even one of our better strike rotations person in Campbell was kept quiet, right? So when you're gonna have 50 dot balls, and then you add to that, you're not getting boundaries, is a recipe for disaster.
Basil, when South Africa batted, they got to 119 without losing a wicket. Quite comfortable. 119 with the captain Lara Woolvart making 59 from 55 deliveries, 7 fours. And our opening partner Tansmin Brits, 57 from 52 deliveries, 6 fours. Why was the West Indies bowling so ineffective?
I remember there was one, probably the ball of the entire, maybe I might be a little thing there with that ball, but the first ball, I think Haley Matthews bowled to Tasman Brits, a perfect off spin, and the ball turned, went through the gate, but went over the stumps, went past even the wicket keeper, because she thought that it probably was going to be bowled down, and I think they got 4 byes for it, right?
Yes, Basil, I don't cut you, but I was doing a watch along at the time, and when that delivery was, when Haley Matthews bowled that delivery, I said bold, because I can't believe that the ball missed the stump.
Yes, that ball, it was a perfect ball, but it bounced more than everybody thought, and it went through the wicketkeeper for 4 byes. There are a couple of questions we have to ask. It's interesting. We saw something there yesterday that Zayda James is now one of our opening bowlers in the power play. We didn't get to see much because our first delivery got hit back, and She made a meal of the catch. The ball went through her hands, hit the shoulder, ricochet off her shoulder, and hit her on the chin really hard. And
What was it, a catch or was it a bong ball? I think it came back.
No, they claim it was a catch. I don't know. To me, it looked like a bomb ball. It looked like a bomb ball to me, right? But anyway, it hit the shoulder and hit the chin, and she was not able to return. So that's an interesting development that they have put her in that role to be an
opening bowler, probably
power play bowler.
Yes.
Because you know something, again, I will urge you, Carlton, to go back and listen to that interview, because he also was talking about her as a one of our better bowlers in the power play.
Yeah, Basil, the fielding too. When South Africa batted, our feeling was shambolic. It was terrible. They were terrible as a collective. With Connell being probably the worst of the lot, and it's not that Connell by herself was terrible alone, but the feeling was terrible as a collective.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this World Cup, the level of fitness of the teams will play a significant role in how successful you're going to be, because they're playing in some serious heat. Now, I'm glad you raised Connell's name up. You remember Connell suffered a serious ankle injury during the WCPL, I think, that she did not play. I think she played one game or whatever she did in the WCPL. Connell is still carrying that ankle injury, right? And Connell, that's maybe one of the reasons why Connell did not bowl. She just bowled that one over. And you could see she was struggling when she was running up to bowl. Now, my question is this. Why would you have a person that has an impaired ankle fielding on the boundary line? The boundary line is where the player has to cover the most acreage on the field. Connell, as a result, Connell should have been fielding all the time in the circle. I saw later on, she came into the circle. But that is where she should have stayed the entire time. Because anytime a ball where she had to run, it would have been a certain four. Because she didn't have the pushing off of the ankle to run and get there and stop the ball, right? We saw one instance of it, right? If she had two good ankles, the one that she kind of dived over the ball, I think a fully fit Connell would have gotten to that ball in time.
Yes. And I must say, and I said it while I was doing the live watch along, towards the end of the South African innings, she was in the covers, as you said, she came into the circle.
Yes.
And one of the batsmen played a brilliant cover drive, and she just skipped across and picked up cleanly. Yes. You know, so you may be onto something there. Basil, we often, I'm very critical of Cricket West Indies. I critique them, but when praise is to be given to Cricket West Indies, you should give that praise also, because they are doing something good. Something's good. For example, this women team, they have invested a lot in it and in the comfort of the players. They have camps in the West Indies before they leave for the UAE, and they were in the UAE 20 days before the first World Cup match. Somewhere probably 18 to 20 days before the first World Cup match. Why, after all that preparation, is it that the team is still not improving? We have seen no incremental improvement in this team, Basil.
Well, those are very valid questions, and you would have to ask then, what is the camp entailed of? What are you doing in the camp, right? Because look, as I said to you, I have had the privilege of interacting with players who have been part of West Indies women camps in previous years and in close to recent times. And those players, there is no improvement in the play. They keep going to these camps year after year, and no improvement. Because on one hand is when they return to their territory, what is the support structure there for them to continue development? So it would seem to me why you have all these camps. But the question we have to ask, what was entailed in these camps, right? And the other thing I want to also add, we have again, or one of our better batters in Stephanie Taylor, turning up at a World Cup second in a row, not fully fit. Because if Taylor was fully fit, she would have made more than 50 runs yesterday.
Yes, yes, Basil. No, these groups of players, Basil, I understand you are saying when they come to camp and they go back to their territories, there is no support structure there. But my understanding is that, if I am the West Indies senior women coach and you come to a camp, Basil, when you're leaving, I'm giving you a program.
Yes, they do.
I'm going to check up on you randomly until you come back. Because West Indies is paying two coaches in each territory, right, Basil?
Yes.
You're also paying a physio in each territory.
Physio and a strength coach.
Right. So if I give you a program and I'm checking up on you, those two coaches should be able to facilitate that program because they are being paid by Cricket West Indies. But despite that, Basil, these girls were together for at least a month. Yeah. A month they were at least together. They came out of the double CP. They were at a camp before the double CPL, played the double CPL, and then leave for the UAE. So they would have been playing at least 6 weeks of cricket. Is, Basil, a question that I have to ask? I know it. I have no doubt in my mind that Shane Diaz is out of his depth. And as I said, when he leaves this job, whether he resign or fired, which I think he should be fired. I think he should have been fired from yesterday. And so I'm saying that he will never, ever get another high-profile job after this West Indies team. And if no other big cricketing nation is going to employ him to coach their senior team, what is Cricket West Indies doing with Shane Diaz? What are we doing with him? Basil, you may be afraid to say it, but I still have to ask you. Do you think that Shane Diaz is out of his depth?
I don't know whether he's out of his depth, but I question several of his selections, and that's where it all begins, right? How you assess the players, what skill sets they have, etc., etc. And I question some of them, and some of the tactics. This foolishness with Joseph opening batting, right? Why we have Joseph opening batting, right? Joseph is her skill set of a batsman is minimal at best. Yes. I would rather try with Allen. I think Allen got more batting skill, way more batting skills than Joseph.
Yes, I really think that Ali Allen is improving, and I've said it a number of times. But now, Basil, tomorrow morning, we play our second match. The match starts at 9 a.m. in Jamaica, 10 a.m. in the Eastern Caribbean and the US, and so on. We play our second match. We'll be playing against Scotland, Basil. I think that we are expected to win this match. If we don't win this match, then anyone who have any doubt that Shane Diaz should be fired, know that he should be on a plane before the match finish. If we don't beat Scotland.
Yes.
This is a squad that is there. You and I have always agreed that this is not the best squad, but this is the squad that is there. So we have to support these ladies.
Of course.
Yes. Now, the playing 11 in yesterday's match was as followed. Ailey Matthews, Sherman Campbell, Ali Lane, Deandra Dattin, Affley Fletcher, Chinelle Henry, Zadia James, Quiana Joseph, Shamila Connell, Charisma Ramarak, and Stephanie Taylor. do you see any change making to that playing 11? I definitely will not play Connell. What are your views on the playing 11 for tomorrow?
Well, first, the two people, Stephanie Taylor and Connell, in terms of the fitness.
All right. First thing, I don't have any clipping on Zayda James, but
Yeah, I saw her with the
she.
I saw the bandage on her jaw swollen.
Yes, but according to the captain, Ailey Matthews, she should be fit to play tomorrow.
Yeah, yes.
And this is what she said about, when I asked about Stephanie Taylor, this is what Ailey Matthews said. And these clippings,
I heard that too.
I think medical staff, physio, doctor is still looking after her. She isn't out at training today, but I think, yeah, they're just taking good care of her at the moment. Not sure how fit she is for tomorrow. Might be out on the field, might not be. But yeah, just monitoring her and obviously looking out for her best interests at the same time.
Okay, so that was Ailey Matthews there, Basil. What will be your playing 11 for tomorrow?
Yeah, here with all of that doubt with Taylor, because they say it's her left knee, right? This game, I think we could beat Scotland. I got us to beat Scotland. So in my view, I would not risk Taylor playing against Scotland. I would rest her because we need Taylor for the other matches that we're left to play in the group stage. If we to have any chance of getting to the next to the semifinals. So I would sit Taylor. Now, the issue with Connell is another issue is Connell's ankle up to par for her to play? Well, we didn't hear Haley Matthews say anything about Connell.
We don't hear so what we're saying, Basil, from these 15 players that are there, Zayda James, Stephanie Taylor, and Shamila Connell are basically out of the match tomorrow. So we are left with 12 fit players.
Right.
Who is that one player that you're not going to pick? Is it Nerissa Crafton?
Crafton will have to play because she has a skill set like Connell. She's a seamer. So,
but I don't think that we need that extra bowler. We have Matthews, we have Alain, we have Henry, we have Fletcher, we have Romarak.
Let me see. Fletcher, Henry, Matthews, Alain,
Quiana Joseph, Ashmini Munisar,
Joseph. Okay. Well, you would bring in Nation. You would bring in Nation.
So
Mangru.
Remember, it's 15 players, Basil.
Yeah.
And 3 are injured, so we are left with 12.
I guess you would have to. You'd most likely bring in Mangru, Munisar, and Nation, if those 3 are not going to be out.
Okay, so that is the playing 11. Well, Ailey Matthews was also asked. She was asked about the situation in the UAE and what's their preparation going forward, and this was her reply.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch too much of it, to be fair. I think it was a long process getting back to the hotel, having a few meetings as well. But look, I figure probably seeing New Zealand score around 160, maybe a bit of dew did fall. I'm not sure, was there as much spin on the wicket? Yeah, there was no dew. Was there as much spin? Yeah. But yeah, I reckon as you do go along the day, I do think the wicket would probably get better at night. That's what tends to happen sometimes. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the match, so I think probably look at a few of the highlights and see how some of the wickets fell, that I could do some good assessment before we do play tomorrow night.
Basil, what puzzles me about Ailey Matthews there is not that I'm asking her to watch every match, but here's a West Indies captain who is in the UAE for almost 20 days, well, it's past 20 now, and she's not aware of the conditions there, it comes across to me like there's no pre-match planning, there's no attention to details. That's what bothered me from what Ailey Matthews just said there now. She just came across as someone who's in the absolute dark, Basil.
Yeah. Again, that's why I said to you, what were the preparation leading up while they were there in camp? Did they play, practice, or have workouts in the evening to simulate what they would be coming up when they play games under the lights and so on and so forth?
No, but
right?
Basil, Cricket West Indies and the supporters would expect that.
Yeah,
and that is Shane Deitz' responsibility. Go ahead, sir. Sorry to disrupt you.
So as a result, you would have gotten an understanding of the conditions at different times of the day.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Basil.
Yeah, you would get a better understanding of the conditions at the different times of the day, because you would have practiced and played in the night. You would have practiced and played in the day because you know the schedule that you're up against. So you got to simulate those times. So you would have gotten a good feel for the conditions.
Yes, because I cannot stress enough, Basil, because when I'm flogging Cricket West Indies, I'm flogging them. But Cricket West Indies got this team to the UAE 2.5 weeks before the tournament started. What was the coach doing? Why Ailey Matthews in an interview could sound so unaware of her circumstances, Basil? Oh, why?
You are raising some very good questions as to Matthews not knowing these basic things, right? I thought that she would be able to give a good idea as to the due and the conditions of the different pitches. Thank you.
Basil, let us play this other interview from Ailey Matthews while you got that logistics in place. Please listen to Ailey Matthews.
Right.
Looking at how that game went in hindsight, sort of identified anything that you could change within this playing group itself. I'm not asking you about who's going to make it, who's not going to make it, but just within your sure starters, right? Is there anything that you can actually improve on, given that it's an evening game as well?
Yeah, I think we had some thorough discussions yesterday evening after the match, and obviously it's one of those games where you kind of want to be able to put it behind you, so we try to have those discussions as early as possible. And look, I think we all knew we didn't get enough runs on the board, and kind of just tried to break down why that was. And yeah, then in the bowling department, obviously not getting to take the wickets as well. But we did have thorough discussion about how we could build better partnerships, but also find a way to increase our strike rate. And at some point in the game, we felt like we really got to a period of the game after losing some early wickets where Stephanie Taylor and Shemaine Campbell were able to rebuild really well. We just weren't able to then kick into that second gear to get off to, I guess, a bigger score. So yeah, definitely some discussions that we had and some things that we've noted where we'd want to improve. And yeah, hopefully we can put that into practice when we do play against Scotland.
Got it.
So Basil, since you are the expert in these things, I'm going to play from the beginning again so that you can listen to the question that was asked.
I heard the question. Yeah, go ahead though. Do it again.
Yes.
After looking at how that game went in hindsight, sort of identified anything that you could change within this playing group itself. I'm not asking you about who's going to make it, who's not going to make it, but just within your sure starters, right? Is there anything that you can actually improve on, given that it's an evening game as well?
Yes, Basil, do you think that she had done justification to the question that was asked her?
No, I think the answer was the typical...
generalization, no specific.
The general answer.
No, it lacked depth. It doesn't. So Basil, where does the women team goes from here, Basil?
Well, they got to improve. They got to beat Scotland. That's the first step. You know, you got to beat Scotland. You get some confidence, because the other teams you're going to be playing against going forward, you got England to play. And who's the other one? Bangladesh, right? But West Indies, in my view, for them to get through to the next to semifinals, they will have to beat
England.
England. They have to beat England.
Yeah,
That's the
England
game.
is our final match on Friday.
Right. That's the game because South Africa now, by beating West Indies, they have bought themselves the ability to lose one match and go through, and that match could be against England, right? But
Yes.
they would then just have Scotland and Bangladesh to play to finish with one loss, and they would definitely qualify. So West Indies will have to beat England so that all three teams could be in a situation where it can come down to net run rate.
Yes, and that's why it was so important that we did not allow South Africa to win the match so early, so
Right.
quickly.
That gave South Africa a serious boost in the net run rate. And now think about it. That's against West Indies. And
Yes.
South Africa is going to be feeling very confident. Got to play against a Scotland and Bangladesh. They're going to be very confident to look to bowl over those teams. Right? Yes. And I'm going to tell you something. South Africa is a women's team is a team that I follow closely. I've been doing that for many years. And I will tell you, I was pleasantly surprised with their performance yesterday against the West Indies, because the area I was looking at for them particularly is their bowling. You know, now that you don't have the Ishmaels around and so on, I thought we would have had a good chance to score heavily against them. But
I made the point, Basil, that South Africa having so many players in the WPL, in the women's CPL, would have gone back and would have planned their strategies from that WCPL. We have Glenn Campbell here saying that what went wrong with the batting yesterday? Well, his answer was they got Matthews out early and the rest of the batting easy to work out. They're weak in all areas. Is he necessarily speaking the truth, Basil?
Well, I mean, don't they have Dottin playing? Don't we have
Stephanie Taylor?
Those are world-class players. You know, albeit Stephanie has a knee issue, but Dottin has returned and so on. But I must caution people regarding Dottin is that, look, you can't sit out from playing at the highest level in any sport and think you're going to walk right back in and hit the ground running. It never happens. So we are seeing some of that with Dottin.
Yeah, the same Glenn Campbell, and clearly he's saying that you can't coach in the middle of a match, but clearly Glenn Campbell doesn't understand coaching. He doesn't. He probably see coaching in one light. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand. So it's okay. We forgive him. Jay saying here that Zeta James should open with Matthews. Your thoughts, Basil?
I disagree with that.
Yes, I disagree with that also. Ferrell Dawes is saying cricket don't play on paper. These West Indian women are worthless, them head tough.
He giving us the full Jamaican vernacular there.
Yeah, he giving us the full. But he also agrees with you that Nation can't bat.
Nah, Nation is one of the luckiest players, man. She's very lucky.
Yes.
And most likely she would have not have seen the field, but I think she's gonna play if Stephanie Taylor is not playing, and let's say that Zeta James is not playing tomorrow. But she is the one that's gonna most likely come in for Stephanie Taylor because of her quote unquote experience.
Okay. Joseph, the same Jay is saying that Joseph can come in at number 9 or she don't have to play either. If Joseph is not coming in up the order, she's still useful in the team for left arm spin bowling because I've seen where it has improved, Basil.
Yes.
Um, this is interesting that Farrell does think that Ailey Matthews is not a good captain. What are your views on that, Basil?
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Not at all.
Okay. Good evening to you, Donald Popper. He's saying good evening
Good
to us,
evening,
Basil.
Donald. Popo.
Yes. Well, Basil, you remember the statement that Ailey Matthews made that this is the best team since 2016, and Donald Popper is also saying that the West Indies have a good team. Your response to Donald Popper?
I don't agree with that neither. we have a couple of world-class players, and especially in the shorter format, you know, one person could win a game, as we saw when Matthews played that incredible inning against the vaunted Australians, and we beat them in that one T20 game. But as a team, no, we're not a good team.
Glenn Canberra, again, you got it wrong. Cherry Ann Fraser is not there, so she cannot replace Connell. So you got it wrong again. Greetings, Robin Sukoda. Thank you, Atina, for encouraging the viewers to hit the like button. We appreciate that, and please subscribe. I have responded to this a number of times, Basil, and here's Stephen Roach again. He's saying that Ailey Matthews is overrated. We put him in his place yesterday, but let's hear your view. Let's hear your views on it, Basil.
No. Matthews is not overrated. No. She's not overrated. She's a tremendous player.
Yes.
She's a highly skilled player. She's one of the best players in the world, right? You know, and look, you've got to give credit. Cap is one of the best players in the world. And what is interesting with Cap is a person that could run up and put the ball in the same area 6 straight balls. That's the kind of skill Cap has, right? So don't make it seem like it's some jokey person got her out. Cap is one of the best players in the world.
Okay, thank you very much, Basil. Now, on to the West Indies squad for the tour of Sri Lanka, which starts next week, Sunday morning. The first T20 starts next week, Sunday morning. Basil, are you in agreement with this T20 squad that had been selected? My squad were more or less, 3 of the players who were in my squad decided not to go, so they have been replaced with Terence Hines, Alec Atanase, and Shamar Springer. What do you think about this squad, Basil?
I want to know what was the position with Mayers. There's nothing in the release saying anything about Mayers. What is the position with Mr. Charles? We ain't see nothing in the release about Charles. We know about the opting out of Russell, Hetmeyer, Puran, and
Hussein,
right? But we haven't heard nothing regarding those 2 other gentlemen.
Yes,
right?
so it's not 2 in a Basil. It's Charles, McCoy, Older, and Myers.
Yes, right.
So
those 4 guys. Those are 4 guys.
Those 4. So if we are hearing that Russell, which I think we all know that Russell was struggling in the CPL, definitely. Hussein, Puran, and Hetmeyer have opted out. So those 4 guys are opted out. Cricket West Indies in their release mentioned these 4 guys.
Correct.
But they never mentioned Charles, McCoy, Mayers, and Jason Older.
Correct.
Is that an indication that they have been dropped?
Well, and that's the thing, Carlton. Since this new selection policy has been put in place, and the coach picks the team solo, so to speak, the coach has not been able to get a grilling from the press, because this would have been the perfect time for the coach to face the press. But you see what happened in here. The coach is currently involved with CPL. He has a final to coach tomorrow. And then the team will shortly thereafter head out. Right? And
but Basil, that shouldn't prevent a press conference, Basil, because
I agree.
how long a press conference is going to take?
I am telling you, these are the excuses you will hear from CWI. That I am just giving you their mindset.
No, no, but in today's world, Basil, you have virtual press conference. That's how the press
Right.
conference have been running. So he
Correct.
can do it even from his hotel room, even from the beach.
Yes, he sure can. And I would like to know the rationale for some of these picks and the other guys not being picked.
Yes, and all of a sudden, Basil, we are seeing where in the past, up to last year, this time, every West Indies team that were selected, even the female under 19 team, there's usually a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a policy of Mile Bascom? Is that the situation?
Since in recent times, since the new selection policy has come into place.
Not only before that, Basil. I think the last,
yes,
the last 10 West Indies team that, probably 10 is stretching it, but certainly more than 5. We have no press conferences.
The last press conference we had for West Indies team was the World Cup team. We haven't had any since.
Yes, and before that, there were teams that were selected that we never had any.
Yes.
And after that, there have been teams that have been selected that we don't have any.
Because the teams that went to Australia, there was no press conference for those teams neither.
But I must say though, Basil,
and England.
I don't have an issue with this squad. It's just the interpretation of not hearing McCoy, Obed McCoy, Kyle Myers, Older, and Charles.
I myself don't have any real big problems with it, but I want to hear why mayors and so on and so forth are not in this team. What is the message being sent to those guys regarding this tour?
Yes, thank you, Basil. So Basil, now we move to the ODI squad, and here again, this is the ODI squad. I am more or less comfortable with the ODI squad, but there are 2 surprises there for me: Aiden Walsh Jr. and Joel Anjo.
I have a third one.
Right.
Mr. Matthew Ford. To me, Matthew Ford is more suited to play T20, not ODI cricket.
Okay, so go ahead with your analysis of the squad, Basil.
Yeah. I mean, Matthew Ford is no ODI. What has Matthew Ford showed that he should be in an ODI squad? Matthew Ford, if you're gonna pick him, you pick him in the T20 squad, not the ODI squad. You know?
Who would you go with to replace Matthew Ford? Anyone at the top of your head? You can think about it, but Aiden Walsh Jr. is a surprise. When I first saw the name, it was a surprise to me, but after thinking about it, I can understand why they are going with that variation of wanting a leg spinner, a right-arm leg spinner. So I guess he's in the squad for variation. And he's arguably the best right-arm leg spinner we have in the region. So I understand that. Joel Andrew, for me, while I congratulated him, I even sent him a message today congratulating him. I would not have included him in my squad. I don't think that I think he has a lot more to prove. He has some potentials. I think there are batsmen out there, even younger batsmen. Basil, I'm trying to remember the Russ, let's say the Russ from Barbados that kept wicket. He was the leading run scorer in this year under-19 cricket tournament. The same tournament that Joel Andrew played in, the same one that Jordan Johnson played in, and he scored more runs than them. He has more dismissal than Joel Andrew. Joel Andrew played 1 match in the CPL and made some good runs, but after that, he failed so miserable that he eventually got dropped, So
I mean,
and even Kavim Aj, I would have gone with even Kavim Aj ahead of Joel Andrew.
Yeah, also,
what do you think, Basil?
Even the youngster from Barbados, Kevin Wickham.
Yes.
I would prefer Kevin Wickham than Joel Andrew. How has Joel Andrew leapfrogged over Kevin Wickham. Kevin Wickham had a century and so on in the first class season, right? And Kevin Wickham is one of the more brighter young players. And now Andrew comes and make a 180 in the fourth, an 80 in the first class, and he leapfrog over Kevin Wickham. And the thing about Kevin Wickham, what makes Kevin Wickham even more so a valuable player, Kevin Wickham bowls leg spin, and he also could come and bowl seam.
I think why they would not have considered Kevin Wickham is that probably Joel Andrew is going as a backup wicket keeper.
Maybe.
You know, so
Maybe
that's
so.
why I would have, you know, so probably that's why
And also, and let me tell you, Kevin Wickham can also wicket keep.
Kevin Wickham, but he has not been doing it.
Yeah, here, I saw him wicket keep with my own eyes.
You saw him wicket keeping.
Yes, but in Barbados, he would often wicket keep for his club team. He was wicket keeping the match when I was there in July.
Okay, so on the face of it now, though, Basil, initially my initial thought process was I would not have gone with Joel Andrew, but looking at the makeup of the squad, he's probably there as the backup. He's not probably, he's clearly there as a backup wicket keeper.
Probably.
And then that make it now become more justified, isn't it so?
Right. Well, let me tell you something, Carlton.
Yes.
You know who I would pick instead of Matthew Ford?
Right.
The guy from your country, OJ Shields.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Because this is where I'm giving him giving him a chance to put his foot in this international at the one-day level. To see, you know, I would put him there because this is a guy that's bowling genuine pace. And we're looking for genuine pace bowlers in our setup, right? I would pick OJ Seals.
Thank you very, very much, Basil. Good night to you, Patrick Lambert. Glenn Campbell said Cherian is listed as an all-rounder with a batting average of 6. Yeah.
Well, Cherian feels she's an all-rounder.
Yeah. Yes. So Jay's asking, what's the issue with McLean, though?
Well, that's a question we've been waiting for the CWI to answer for us.
Yes, we have asked that questions a number of times, Jay, and we have gotten no answers. Mrs. Cricket Forum, good evening. She's saying, good evening, Sir Brown, Basil, and the Cricket Forum community. Thank you very much, Mrs. Brown. Thanks to the members of this lovely community who expressed birthday wishes to me. I appreciate your thoughtfulness and kind gesture. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. I appreciated that. Yes. It said, Matt Morgan said, what are your thoughts on Dutton opening with Matthews? What are your thoughts there, Basil? You'd go for that?
I think you remember that both of them used to be doing that, right?
Right.
And then I guess the management felt, look, these are two of our best batters, and to lose one of our best batters maybe early in the game could set us back. So they decided to split them because our resources, we don't have a lot of resources. If you saw, I mean, similarly, look at New Zealand. You remember they had Susie Bates and Sophie Devine opening, and they've since decided, no, we got to split them up and have like Sophie, the captain, could bat she can be a floater because she could bat anywhere, right?
Yes.
A similar situation.
Okay, thank you. Athena, thank you on behalf of Mrs. Brown. And Athena is making the point, Basil, that Anderson Phillip should probably ahead of Shields,
I mean,
and
also
Matthew
even Jaden Seals.
No, Jaden Seals is there.
Oh, Seals is in the one-day team?
Seals is in, but
Okay.
Jeremiah Lewis, I have a lot of times for Anderson Phillip. I really, really think that Anderson Phillip is really pushing Jaden Seals and Shamar and Alzari Joseph. I really think that he's pushing them very hard. I think he has improved leaps and bounds, Basil. When last have you seen him?
I saw him in the first class season.
Okay. Yeah, and even though he played a few matches in the English County Championships towards the back end.
He got a 9-wicket haul at the end of the season here the other day. Yeah, I saw that. Yes.
Yes,
So
yes,
that
I
would
really.
that would have been a good experience for him to play in different conditions in England there. Yeah.
Finally, now, Basil, tomorrow evening, this time, the Guyana National Stadium will be rocking.
Yes.
Once we get rid of all the hypotheses and
Yes. Yes. Yes.
all the theory, and
Uh-huh.
we focus on cricket, because
Yes.
this year tournament will already go down in history as one of the most controversial
We probably
CPL
will.
thus far.
I got something to say to you on that. Continue when you finish.
Yes, many persons, the majority of persons who are not supporting the Guyana Amazon Warriors, they
I,
want St. Lucia to win. It's just happened that way, that if you are not a Warriors supporters, you want St. Lucia to win.
Mhm.
In time past, there are persons who will probably support Barbados Royals, and that support would have been split between both teams.
Mhm.
Now, all of that support have gone to the St. Lucia Kings.
Yes.
And it has become so controversial. Politicians getting involved, the regular man getting involved. I tell you something, Basil, and I said it last night on the watch along. Yesterday, one of my very best friends, Mark never heard of the incident, and he and I had some business to transact yesterday. And I told Mark of the incident, and Mark absolutely agreed that something went wrong. He
Fishy.
said
Something
that
fishy.
it doesn't right. It
Yeah.
cannot be right that the light come back on 2 minutes. And although he and I disagree all day, because I'm telling that I just think it's a coincidence, and he's saying no, it's not a coincidence. And it all day there was an argument about it. So I know that a lot of persons believe that it was not a coincidence. And the common sentiment is that Guyana Amazon Warriors, it is alleged, let's put alleged there, that
Yes.
something was done to
Something
get
nefarious.
rid
Something
of the
nefarious.
arch rival Trinbago Knight Riders.
Yes.
Go ahead with your comment, Brazil, and tell us what are your thoughts and who you think is going to win tomorrow night.
But first, I want to say I think the CPL dropped the ball, and I'll tell you why. CPL in that release, in my view, when I found out some information, I think the CPL ended up throwing Rayon King under the bus, because in their release they did not say that in the playoffs the time limit goes up from 90 minutes an inning to 95 minutes. So that's where that 10 minutes came into play. 5 minutes each inning, that additional 10 minutes came into play. Had they said that, all the speculation and all the controversy be thrown out the window as to the start time. And because of that also, that 22:52 would have never been the time to start back. Somebody dropped the ball along the line and forgot that the rules change in the playoffs, right? I received that information the next morning from somebody who was close to the situation. And I said, oh, well, because remember they say it was in the hand of the match referee, Rayon King, and blah, 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 about the starting, when the time is going to start.
Here's what they said about, here is what the statement said about Rayon King.
Right.
You
had it, go back, go right there at the top. You got it.
Right here at the top?
Yes, Rayon King, CWI senior match referee, who was in charge of the playing conditions team on the night, said the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League playing conditions allow for 1 hour extra time to be added to the game before overs are lost, and a failure of floodlights is treated in exactly the same way as an interruption for rain. The priority for the match officials team is always for the safety of players, but they also work to try to see if the outcome of the game, one way or another, can be achieved on the field of play. This was the focus applied during the eliminator match. Now, at no time in there where it talks about there is a difference of the time limit from regular season to the playoffs that goes from 90 to 95 minutes. So had that been put in there, we all would have seen we all would have seen then, okay, it's in your playing conditions. So that 11:01 start was going to be the correct start, not 22:52 as
Not
was told to
10:52.
us.
Yeah, once they
Yes.
put in the 10:52 and then
Exactly.
change it to
So
11:02.
that's the match started within the framework they said,
Yes.
according to their playing condition, and all this controversy gone out the window.
Yes. So tomorrow match now, Basil. Have you heard that tickets are going for on the resale market for $1,000 US, which is
Really?
almost $250,000 Guyanese dollars?
Anybody who would pay that kind of money got to be smoking some of the cheapest weed, because I will be watching the game on TV. It's not worth that. The value of the game is not worth that at all. I think this game is gonna be come down to which team bowls the best, right? Because both teams got a decent batting units, but it's gonna come down to who bowls the best. And I would, in terms of that, I would have to give St. Lucia the edge in terms of which team has bowled better throughout the tournament. I would give the guys from St. Lucia. So it should be a very interesting match. Obviously, I'm back in Guyana, but I think this match will be a very exciting match. One that will go down to the wire.
Is it the pitch that they are going to play on tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be a fresh pitch, or has it been used before?
That's a question to be asked, because I don't think it would make sense to have a fresh pitch for the final. That pitch, you don't know what kind of characteristics it have, but you never know. I just hope it's not one of the pitches they have on the square where the ball just keeps getting lower and lower and lower, and it makes it hard for stroke play, right? I want to see a match where, it's a more even battle between bat and ball.
In the last two matches, would consider those pitches fairly decent pitch.
Yes.
St. Lucia won the toss and bat first in qualifier number 1. Much to the surprise of many, they end up making over 200 runs and winning the match. Do you expect something similar tomorrow night if they win the toss again?
Yeah, I think so. I think chasing at Providence is a very tough situation. And then for a couple of reasons. It's a final. If you put up a good score on the board, scoreboard pressure. So you got all of those things all aligned, right? And as the old saying say, pressure bursts pipes, right? So if I'm a team, I want to have all that pressure on the batting team chasing to win the game if I put up a good total.
Scoreboard pressure as usual.
Exactly. Because just
to
make this quick point, it's and why scoreboard pressure. People often say, why y'all say this? But let folks understand what the scoreboard pressure we talking about, because every time you get a dot ball, the required run rate just keeps going up and up, and that is a scoreboard pressure.
Yes, Basil. So just clear there. So there's no doubt about it that there'll be no light out tomorrow, and
it better not.
If rain fall, it's an act of nature, act of God. If rain fall, exactly. And there will be no light out. What if there's a light out tomorrow? What if, Basil? What if everything aligned?
Yes.
That the Warriors are losing, and then there's a light out. What do you think will happen, Basil?
There will have to be some serious investigation of some kind of match fixing or something, because as we usually say, lightning don't strike twice. Well, in that case, we'll have lightning striking twice.
Patrick Lambert is saying the selectors have a huge problem because all the players are almost at the same level. The gap in talent is not wide enough. Patrick Lambert, I 100% agree with you. And I always tell young players, that do not depend on persons to like you, to select you, but work harder than the rest and become better than them, and then your selection will be clear. Isn't that so, Basil?
Yeah, because look, this is one of the things as a West Indies selector in this last 10 years or more. Your assessment of players, you have to earn your pay as a West Indies selector, because you have to extrapolate guys' skill sets and so on from a substandard system to international competition. And it takes more than just simply looking in the scorebook. You got to really look at all the different attributes that you look for in an international player and see if this player ticks off the boxes. Because some guy, you might have a guy who scores heavily, but he has ticked off more boxes than the guy that scored more than him. And you have to, okay, I'm going to go with this guy because, he takes more of the boxes off.
Lou Prudent, I don't, the only player, NLR, I don't know, Lou Prudent, I don't know the last part there. Jay, we went through the white ball squad earlier, and that's why Patrick Lambert was referring to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was saying the only player of note in this Women's World Cup squad is Zayla James. They do not seem to be organized.
This must be a Zayla James fan. This must be a Zayla James fan.
I don't think you will have many persons agreeing with you, Lou Prudent, but I respect your opinion. I respect your contributions. You're entitled to your views, of course, but I don't think that you will have many persons agreeing with you. I think the very minority would agree with him, Basil. Yes, and Lou Prudent is saying, looking forward to the CPL final. Yes, all things being equal, we'll be here tomorrow evening with a live watch-along. Michael is saying, well, President Ali needs to get a new sports minister, etc. If another light out happens. You can imagine the uproar that there will be, Basil.
Here, let me tell you. I will bet you this. The president probably sent out an edict. Y'all better make sure all systems are fully ready to go. We will not be suffering an embarrassment.
But Basil, I think on Thursday when we spoke, I said to you, one of the rumors that it is alleged, and I use the word alleged again, and these are just people speculating and rumors, and it's nothing concrete. It's a speculation. It's far, far from where any evidence would lead. That person speculated and alleging that it was a Venezuela cyber attack. Suppose that is really the case, Basil, and it happened again tomorrow.
Oh Lord, no. I doubt that. I doubt that scenario.
Yeah, I doubt it too.
Because why I say that? As I said to you, I was told there was an outage with the light system when the guy and the team was preparing just prior to the CPL.
Right? No, but the persons are saying that was a test run by the Venezuelans.
Well, there was also an outage when they had a T10 finals at the ground also. There were recently also. So
there's clearly some organizational issues there.
Yes. Because as I raised the question to you that an investigation should be done. Yes. Because you want to make sure, one, that the reason why the the outages happened in the recent past were not the same reasons that this most recent light outage occurred. Because then if that is so, that means you never corrected the problem.
Okay, Basil. Michael Douglas is St. Lucia is highly dependent on the opening pair throughout the tournament. Seifert and Rajapaksa won a match, but only one could play. If Guyana could dismiss Faf and Charles early, they will win. Good point there. Yeah, the good point there. And Patrick Lambert said, I support your point, Basil. I believe the bowling will be the main factor. Kings on throne. kings on the throne. If the light goes off tomorrow night, the prison doors will be open.
I like that. I like that, Patrick Lambert. That's lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning at 8:55, I will start the live watch along at 8:55 tomorrow morning. You know, I think that a lot of these things are just joke, though, Basil. I'm about Venezuela and most of the things. I just think it's joke.
That one came out simply because they thinking because of the current dispute between. But I don't think Venezuela concerned about our cricket and so on.
They don't care one bit about it, man. They don't care one bit about it. They probably don't even know that a cricket tournament is going on.
Exactly.
Well, I guess when these things happen, these are, you know, and you can imagine 100 years from now what the story will be, Basil. Yes, man.
And then you see, Carlton, today, because of social media, everyone's opinion is able to be seen by the entire world.
Yes.
And we know this. When anything happens and you on the street, so to speak, you hear some of the craziest rumors and so on. And now today, those rumors are able to be placed in social media, and it could take off like wildfire.
Yes, one of the you're so right, Basil. And let me give you an example. You see, we as little children going to school, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You see the things that these children are doing nowadays at school.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do them too, you know.
Exactly.
We used to do them too. We used to school, go river, everything that these children are doing.
Exactly.
Only difference now is that it is being filmed and everyone is seeing it.
Exactly.
There's no difference.
I got two nieces. One is 15 and one is almost 12. And they were a little more younger, right? I'm at my sister's house, my sister's two daughters. And I said to them, I was telling them one day, I said, let me tell y'all two something. There ain't nothing y'all doing, think y'all smarter than we adults, you know. We were children like you. There ain't nothing you do that we didn't do as children.
Yes.
I told two of them, I said, you see your grandmother? She used to always tell me, you think I born yesterday? I was a child like you. Right?
Exactly.
So don't outsmart us.
Thank you very much, Basil, for once again joining us. Tuesday morning, Monday morning, because the match is played tomorrow. So Monday morning, I look forward to your review of the match tomorrow morning. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. May God bless you. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Bye for now. See you tomorrow morning. Have a great night.